welcome everyone. This is the 2v2 Jackpot tournament. Harrison and I Harrison co-casting, myself casting. It is Hazza and KingofOsmane versus Tit and Kynesie. This is a best of 5 series, unlike the play-ins where it was play all 5. And these players, I'm not sure. I really don't know who I favor here. I would say just based off of recent performance, maybe Hazza and KingofOsmane. But
I'm with you on that one because I believe KingofOsmane is also a strong team player, but the fact that these two players have teamed up, Hazza and King, does suggest some good synergy between these two players. For some reason, I thought it was Neutral and Hazza instead of KingofOsmane, but KingofOsmane, Neutral, they're both high-ranking players, so sure. Yeah, KingofOsmane is still Brigadier. I know how you're saying that these teams were randomly drawn up against each other due to essentially most teams 5-0 in their way through it. And what I would definitely say is, between these two teams, I'm not too sure. We'll see how it balances out. I'm quite happy to say, though, in a 2v2 setting that Team Hazza, so Hazza KingofOsmane, is better than Kynesie+Tit+Timojin. So this is a matchup worthy of a final. It's a shame it's in the quarterfinal. However, what they say is, to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is a bit of a shame it's not in the finals. I mean, I would say there's 4 teams that could realistically take the whole tournament. You know, assuming other teams don't get really lucky or something with civs and maps and whatnot. It is, of course, the jackpot tournament, so you never know what's going to happen. But I would say it's Hazza, KingofOsmane, Kynesie and Tit, Kynesie+Tit+Timojin, and then also Samwise and Prince of Kabul are really, really high too. So I would say those 4 are the strongest. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really good match, that's for sure.
Kai's in the chat saying Timojin's missing. Hold up, we need to get the extra player and have a 7-player game, 2 versus 3. And I think in that case, they might be a little bit too favoured there for Tit. Can you see? Timojin, I want to say, is a friend of the French guys here, and it is on backup reserve in case one of these guys has to take a rest from all the drama and high action game we're about to have. I'm not too sure we'll see Timojin playing today because we're already at the thick end of the tournament, and most of the remaining games are high, super high level, and it's not often we get to see super high level team games. And I think myself, yourself, and everybody in the chat are really excited to see some competitive tournament, high level team playing games.
Yeah, for sure. It was who was it? It was, I think, Riot Coke, maybe? He was saying he was super excited to see some 2v2 action. He was saying he hasn't seen some 2v2 action, some high-level 2v2 action in a very long time. And it's going to be really, really exciting. This is... what were you going to say?
No, I just turned the stream on my phone so I can get chat on my phone. Okay. I have chat on my second monitor, but if I wanted to reply to it, I'd have to alt-tab, so it's just an easy way for me to type to somebody. I wasn't going to type in the chat, hey, is all the sound okay, but I'm sure you'll find out that. I do see now all the players ready to go. Are you ready to go, JAILEDaoe?
I'm ready to go. I am. So the first map is Wabakimi, and it is Hazza and KingofOsmane on France and Ottomans versus Tit and Kynesie with Germany and China. So it should be really, really exciting. Roro saying he's friends with all these nerds and he can't decide who to root for. Just root for a really, really good match, Roro. I really hope it's like 3-2, or at least every game is really close. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be, but this should be pretty exciting. What do you think of the matchups, Harrison? French and Ottoman versus Germans and Chinese?
We'll find out. My first question is, this was designed mainly as a 1v1 map, and I'm not too sure how the code works out to team, but there are some crates which spawn in the middle islands in this map. I'm just wanting to check if it's a 1v1 kind of level of those little extra crates, because otherwise if you have 600, 800 resources in the middle, then that's going to be a little bit of an interesting spawn.
It's the same regardless of how many players spawn into it. The starting crates are the same, or the island crates are the same.
Yeah, nice little cute setup in the middle. 3 berries, a silver mine, only 2 trees, and then these extra 100 crates for either player. Neither player really having access to boats in the first age for villager shipments, so not expecting that to be such a high impactful point of contention in this game. But we're into game number 1. JL, let you like yourself introduce the players.
All right, so we have Kynesie over here in China. We have in blue. In yellow, we have Tit playing as the Germans. In red, we have Hazza playing as the French, and then KingofOsmane in green playing as Ottomans. This map, in 3v3 and 4v4, some players really dislike how basically the players that start in the middle don't start with any more hunts and mines. It's in 2v2 though, it's really, really good. You have hunts above for the top player and hunts below for the bottom player. And then it's also one thing that's really important on this map is the cliffs on the top side. You're able to wall that and kind of focus on the bottom side. And if your team controls the bottom side hunts and mines, you have a huge advantage. So it's really, really quite easy to deny extra resources from your opponent. Deny resources from your opponent early if you do so. Water is a thing also. Not a whole lot of fish, or not a whole lot of fish. There's no whales at all. But yeah, that's kind of the map for you guys. What do you think we see from the players as far as units go or build orders, Harrison?
Well, before we get into that, I'm very, very happy with the colour palette by his choices. Primary colours and which ones are not the primary colour? I'm going to embarrass myself here. It's green. Green's not the primary colour. Yeah. But look at the Skittle trading line. Each player having a single trading post, and they're all building at the exact same time. Wood crate start for all players here, so each civ, a TP dependent civ or a civ which benefit greatly from having early access to a train post, they have all elected to drop a train post down to the southern side, which is important. It means players will have to try and fight for this middle map control if they want to protect their train line, but also there's lots of deers and coin mines right in this southern central part, which is a very important bit of resource for the players, specifically to Hazza and to Tit. It looks like some extra or closer spawning deers towards Tit's side, so it's a little bit better for Tit's side, but both players in base having the same starting hunt and coin mines. We do see a trapped Courrier des Bois being picked up here by Kynesie, which is the code name for these two players if you haven't yet heard. But about the matchup though, Hazza playing as the French civilization, King playing as Otto. I'm expecting Otto to either go Jan Abus, one or the other, or both. I feel in a 2v2, still trying to go for that 3-unit combination is really nice with the French player focus on Hussars, but then adding a barracks later on for musketeer production if he really wants to kind of bolster that infantry mass. The other team though, it's a little bit more awkward if they want to play second age. German Uhlans fall over quite quickly. China is the banner army, so it's basically both pike. I'm expecting one of the players from Kynesie wanting to try to get to the next age, and considering where the Chinese players spawned, I'm expecting China to jump to the third age. Germany trying to hold out in second, protecting. Early wall up from the Ottoman player. It is nice just to get the early wall up. It is a choke point, and then once this wall is up, you can just purely focus to the southern side. And we do see one medicine man. I thought it was a native villager, but we're not playing as the Sioux. Yeah, I'm expecting both players to be from Hazza's side, KingofOsmane Hazza, to be dropping a forward base around this area now that they know that the top side's all safe. And look at this, even Kynesie has snuck through because he hasn't walled up the entire side. He's walking back. He's like, he could have walked on the other side and walled deeper into the choke, but I don't think it really matters as long as this is all walled up here. Both players don't want any harassing, raising from the north side, and just want to focus everything on the southern side. Here comes the barracks.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe a bit of a mistake from Osmane on that walling there, but I don't think he noticed the villager go through and walk back. That's definitely some key things there. Yeah, we do see the barracks coming out from KingofOsmane. and it is a stable from France, as is expected. I think it's better to start barracks than it is artillery foundry, but you definitely want to go artillery foundry before too long, I think. We do see a outpost out for Germans, the Egypt outpost, village, and stable, so it's looking like they're going to do some Age 2 pressure. I think that favors France and Ottomans a lot. Germany and China, not the best units in Age 2. I was perhaps going to expect an FF from the players. Perhaps it'll be a semi-FF or something like that from them, from China and Germany. We'll see what they go with, though. We do see Janissaries already out, and the War Academy is not up yet, so we'll see what happens. The Chukunu do come out, and they're going to deal with the Janissaries just fine. Pretty close start so far. We'll see when the French cav pop out, but yeah, this is looking really, really good.
3 Dops first card from Germany, such a nice play here. I thought it would be the 3 settler wagons because I was counting the population, checking to see if it 8 bows first, but no, Chinese player has sent bows. You've got the Doppelsonder's siege and the potential on the barracks. Barracks is already halfway down, and with cavalry being trained from the stable, Tit+Timojin has the 3-unit composition ready to go. Doppel's engaging with the Janissaries. They kind of want to hold back to try and pick off these Uhlans. Hussars are kind of wanting to commit, but realizing there's Doppels alive, they have to run away. Now with a 3 Hussar shipment from Hazza reinforcing, no Hussars on the Chukunu mass. They need to focus down the Doppelsonders first, but actually I think this is a good military massive advantage for Tit+Timojin behind this.
Yeah, the pikes behind takes down that barrack. The artillery foundry, though, was put up behind, so that's going to be okay from them. I really like this choice. I like the choice to switch to Abus right now. I wouldn't go too heavy into Janissaries at the moment, honestly, because Uhlan are, you know, not that great. And you want to have a really good counter to those pikes, and Chukunu and the Abus are that. It looks like that Tit+Timojin have taken down the barracks of Ottomans and are going to take down the stable from France, though. So really good start for them, and they've got a really good fight earlier. All in all, that was a better fight for Tit+Timojin so far.
Yeah, this is super awkward. Does Hazza rebuild the stable at home? Does he continue with Hussar production, or does he go for Musketeer switch and then allow and cover King of Osmane's Abus gun? Abus gun's moving forward, trying to poke off individual Chukunus, but nearly at risk of getting caught out by the Uhlans there. And it's always nice to micro your Abus guns, but you just cannot allow the cavalry to connect. Explorer moving forward to scout, but the Chukunu mass is just trading that off. Military populations, even. Recalc economic population, even. Map control is pretty much even. Bit back and forth then, and probably the advantage going to Tit+Timojin, but it's still on a knife edge here.
Yeah, it is really, really close. Germany has really, really good eco. We'll look at his shipments. He sent 2 settler wagons and 3 settler wagons. He does have 2 settler wagons still in deck that he could send, but he's. You have, as Germany, if you're not like going H3 fast or something like that, you have a really good villager population early in H2 due to the 2 settler wagons and 3 settler wagons, but it kind of you don't have anything else bolstering it the rest of H2 really. Looking at China, they don't really have anything that upgrades their eco that much in H2. Ottomans, of course, you get free bills, but they're not amazing bills. You know, generally you don't have a whole lot of them. France, CB are pretty good. As it goes on longer and longer in H2, I think I give the advantage over to Hazza and King of Osmane just due to the civs though. So we'll see what happens. Good start for Tit+Timojin so far, but we'll see if they're able to transition this into H3 and hold on, or what they're going to do exactly. One thing that is really, really nice is the native scout from Hazza is in the middle of the FB, and they know everything that's coming out. So really, really nicely done from him there. Looks like we have King of Osmane and Hazza engaging right here.
Yeah, okay. Looks like the fight's coming in. Hazza did send 700 coin as a shipment to Mass. He's on double stable production. He's going to pump out even more Hussars. No crate shipment yet from Tit. Went for 8 bows. Bows would be quite nice to fight here, but actually I would have preferred either 700 wood or coin. But at this moment in time, even the step riders coming out fighting. Maybe a few standard armies being trained. Maybe residue of the 7 steps over. But the step riders can't really engage the Hussars under really any conditions at the moment. They're utterly outclassed, and they can only really just be there to tank. Trading equal, we're trying to trade off with a Chu Canoe and crossbow, but you can see how China cannot really focus on crossbow production. They could go old hand or standard, but they're still training pikemen or step riders. The 8 bows from German didn't really help out there, and there's just so much ranged infantry, including the Janissaries Aegis guns from King. That's just pushed the entire Kynesie forward base back towards the German town centre. However, we need to take in consideration that the China player is aging at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say. Yeah, it can be really rough as China. You're building Chu Canoe and old Han, so Chu Canoe and Pike, but you're going against Janissaries and Abyss. The Janissaries and Abyss are going to win that cost effectively every single time. We do see a raids coming in from Hazza+KingofOsmane pulls back. Okay, so I think that's a decent choice. You're not knowing where your opponent's army is, waiting for Ottomans to clean up. Oh, they're going to go for the TPs actually. So China going age 3 right now. Hazza gonna come in with a bunch of cav. We'll see what happens. I think Tit needs to be age 3 also, but he might not have a window where he's going to be able to. This is going to be pretty dire here. We do see the pikes coming forward and the hussar coming forward. Also, Hazza and KingofOsmane not close to aging. No one's close to aging besides China, who just hit age 3. So age 3 China. We'll take a look at his deck real quick. He does have 10 Arquebus and Team 5 Manchu. Has the 1 Futuran also, but no other shipments in age 3. He will be able to make Arquebus though, and Chengdao if he wants to. Whatever he's gonna make. We do some villagers going down, a villager going down for Tit, and I'll let you carry on with the rest of this, Harrison.
A quick look at that deck as well. No 5 mutuals, no intervention. I'm disliking this deck choice completely. How is he going to hold on this pressure? You feel that you need to send a few military shipments just to try and stabilize at this position. Beforehand, I was cowering in my seat there. I was not expecting. There was a possibility of Hazza losing lots of his cavalry to the Uhlans and the pikemen, and if they managed to pick that off, that would have been so good, because King's army was just away sieging down trading posts. But luckily, he has pulled back just in time, and now because he's joined up with the Janissary Aegis guns, this is just a scary Musk push style from Hazza and King, both staying colonial, but Hazza is now aging up, which basically means that they might want to back out. They don't want to overcommit here, especially if Hazza's about to get to the next stage, and you can see they don't want to go any much deeper than this. Uhlans, pikemen, Chu Canoes wheeling around to the side, but a bit of raiding up top side, 1 villager going down, but it's about to happen here.
Yeah, this is do or die for China and Germany, I think. It was a bit of a rough matchup, but they played it really well so far. We'll see if they pull back. So Hazza and Osmane pull back, knowing that if they were to commit too heavy right here and they lose the fight, it could mean the game. But some really nice micro out from Osmane. Takes down a bunch of Ulan. We see how weak they are in age 2. Well, just how weak they are in general, especially versus range mass. But it looks like Janissaries aren't going to go down. But if the Abyss can make it out, and the Cav are being upgraded now, but they're in the middle of the fight already. Lots of them might go down. The French Cav.
You need to remember that there are 10 Manchu out in the field. These Hussars need to run. There's 10 Manchu. You can't engage that. He's basically had to abandon the Janissary Abyss guns. And the fact that Hazza's in the 3rd age now, and they're caught that deep in German territory, is a lot to be desired from. And just that military mass has just been crumpled away. Really good use of Minutemen as well from Tit. They've got some great value there. And the Chu Canoes just getting some good exchanges versus the heavy infantry of the Janissaries. And most of those Manchu are still alive. I'm looking at the military units tab, and both players having 5 Manchu. So sending team 5 Manchu cards, picking up the kills, not losing a single unit. They're on the forward foot now, and that has given China more XP to send shipments behind this. But his next shipment is going to be 1,000 wood. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, so as the game goes on more and more, it becomes a little bit more, a little bit closer, with Germany and China both having really good military options in age 3 on. Abyss, though, are really strong, and of course French has the gendarme. I don't expect them to go skirmishers in this. But yeah, as when you're talking about the decks out here, I'll look at the French deck and the Ottoman deck for the viewers really quick. But yeah, you're talking about Chinese deck. No 5 meteor hammers. One other thing that could be really nice is actually the 9 Manchu also. In a 2v2, Team 5 Manchu is great, but 9 Manchu that's 9. So it's only 1 less Manchu, and you're able to control all of them. So I would like to see both of them, honestly. But really, as a German ally, War Wagons is a expected unit that they're going to be making an Age 3 on. So it's okay, I think. Not a whole lot of military shipments, though, that's for sure.
I love how you say 9 Manchu because you get to control all of them. Have you had some past experiences of sending Team 5 Manchu and players leaving Manchu away from the combat? You're thinking, why? Come on, why did I send that shipment?
Yeah. I think everyone that is familiar with the with team games has had an experience where they've sent something like Tiger Claws or Sohi or Manchu and the or Yurumi, and players just don't use it very effectively.
Time out. 44 population in this Fukan, even carrying German units across as well. So Ulan's just dropped off by the ship, going for a raid to the top side, maybe trying to sneak around the backside. This Fukan can pick up a few vills on near the coast, but it's also its own barracks and its own mini fort, you can say, is that strong. But dropping off with Manchu, the fact that he's a drop behind enemy lines, Hazza can just turn his cav mass and, okay, won't pick off the Fukan, but can actually scare this predominantly ranged infantry army away. And Dragoon and Vet Hussar with the cav combat, he's still got enough Vet Hussars, and this is going to turn back at this moment. And this looks like a really great play from Kynesie+. I'm worried, though, how it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, I mean, they might get some good raids. You see back here, they're raiding the Chukunu and whatnot, took off. The arquebuss just took out a villager themselves. But if they are able to take out the ship or deny units from getting back to it, then that could be really rough. We see the cap coming forward, and the Chukunu and arquebuss might not be able to make it in. Gonna be really close. Yeah,
forget the ship, block the path. Unless you have, well, you have Abus guns in the mass. Remember, Abus guns Janissary is doing pretty decent versus the ship.
Yeah, for sure.
Looks like the Fukan will pull back in time, but you know, if King had another 5 Abus guns, that could have ended in disaster for Kynesie. They're losing the ship and basically most of his army. And these 5 Manchu, they're getting cleaned up for nothing. Yeah. That's a rest in peace moment. And they're chasing down the Ulans to the north side, who can't escape, remember, due to this wall from King of Osmane.
Yeah, but we do see that the Chukunu and Arquebuss army is pushing back onto the FB, and I think it's totally fine having the Ulans back there. They didn't get a whole lot done with their army, but it may give them the positional advantage. They lost too many Chukunu, Arquebuss, and Manchu to make it worth it, but they do lose that. We do see that some hand mortars were trained very nice out of the castle there, and it looks like the Chukunu Arquebuss are going to make it back into the ship. We do see a frigate. Frigates out from both Hazza and Osmane at the same time, and they're going to take out the future. Oh,
it's so close.
Oh, so but that's a nice touch there. The Flying Crow and the hand mortars take down one of the ships though. So the cab go to the island there. That's a nice touch. I like that a lot. That's really nice heads-up player from both players. We saw Hazza and KingofOsmane shipping the ships at the same time. Really nicely done. And they take it down the Flying Crow and the hand mortars. They're going to clean up everything on that island. And if this frigate doesn't go down, maybe pull it back a bit, then that'd be a really nice touch. Holding the water is really important, actually. It can make a big difference. We do see a fire giant come out and doesn't quite take out that frigate. One more shot will do it with it.
One more, though, will put it in big trouble. 62 HP remaining, and a single castle shot or whatever from the arquebuss says could be enough. And the fact that there's still good 10 Hussars. And actually, the fire jets coming in. These Hussars are trapped. They've overcommitted for the outpost and dock, but goodbye, Hussars. You're never picking those guys off the islands. They're trapped.
Yeah, looking at the other ships that Hazza and KingofOsmane could send, they do have caravels and the galleys. We see that the army of Hazza and Osmane are taking out down the walls, but they can clearly see that it was only 4 segments there. But Yeah, so let's take stock of the situation. Slight eco lead for Kynesie+Tit+Timojin, and for Hazza and KingofOsmane, they have a huge military lead at the moment. That's mostly due to goons and gendarme. We do see that there are some cavs stuck on the island, so not doing a whole lot at the moment. The TC from Tit is going down right now, or being sieged at least. China doesn't have much of a mass currently. I think that's the big discrepancy in the armies there. We'll see. Okay, so Kynesie asked for 2 minutes. We can do that for him.
That's okay. We need 5 minutes just to recap what Earth has happened at the moment. We saw, like, for example, just that boat play. We saw German units getting transported across in the Chinese ship, like with the Chinese army, but we saw the French hussars getting transported in the Ottoman frigate, and that hussars managed to get off the boat just before that frigate went down. So a lot of communication and teamwork between the two players to, I think it was all on the Ottoman player King to move the boat and then unload the boat, even though it was Hazza's units. But I'm not too sure on that. It might be Hazza having to unload it himself. And it's just like there's a lot of close communication. And we're talking about another 2 shots from the castle or 1 shot from the castle, and you would said goodbye to 20 hussars. 15 arquebusiers would still be alive on that island. You still have the dock and the castle. These fine margins at this high level is just what we been looking forward to it, and for the rest of the series, hopefully.
Yeah, that was Osmane's frigate. You're right. Yeah, super close coordination is really, really going to see that from the players. We do see. Let's see how many cav are there. I can't change it while paused. All right, but it's roughly 10 or so hussar there that could play a deciding role in this next fight. But really, 151 military pop to 89. It's looking really, really good for Hazza and Osmane at the moment. Let's see. We can look at the deck. No, we can't look at the deck. We can't really look at anything besides what we see on the minimap and what has already transpired. We do see a second TC coming up from Tit. There's already a second TC from Hazza. Osmane is also building his second TC. And a third one coming up, or already up for Kynesie. So a little bit ahead economically for Kynesie, but definitely militarily for Osmane and Hazza. If Kynesie can hold on for a little bit longer, I think they're going to have a good chance at this game. But it's looking pretty dire for them at the moment, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that Kynesie is a father. I think he said that for a few times. Well, not said that reason, but he's been on the forums for a while. But he's been a dad, so real life problems I'm sure you can perfectly relate to. I do have the shipment sense tab open though. The last shipments from all the players, one frigates, which was very important for that middle play style, which was definitely needed. To see how those 2 ships came in at the exact same time, that was nice coordination. Team infantry attack though from the French player, going pure cavalry. But that team infantry attack buffs both the Janissaries and the Abus gun as well at the same time. I didn't realize it buffed the Abus gun. That is a really strong shipment play there from Hazza. And
Are you ready?
Hazza's he could have sent Cav Combat, but chose to go for the range infantry, prioritizing Jan's Abus. But Kynesie, Acupuncture, train time for all units, not the greatest and not the most impactful.
Yeah, I mean, well, he has to get a bunch of units out fast, so I suppose, now is a good time to send it if you have to. It's perhaps a little bit, at this point, right now, perhaps a little bit better than, a unit upgrade, because he doesn't have a whole lot of units out. But it looks like Hazza and Osmane take down the TC and pull back. They might find the second TC from Germany. That would be a nice touch from them. We do see a decent amount of mass out from Kynesie at the moment. The Ulan are going to go raiding, but I think they're going to caught. Yeah, they're going to be caught. Yeah, all of those are going to go down. This is one of the reasons why Germany is the Ulans are pretty bad into France due to just gendarme completely cleaning them up. They have no chance versus them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you'd do that, to be honest, because you know that all the buildings and the army down to the southern side, line of sight available. Maybe to the top side, just start sieging that wall, and you could get in for a cheeky raid later. But rule number one of raids in Age of Empires: you do not want to raid with the entire cav mass. Maybe 5 units maximum is just a generic rule to go by. We saw about 15 Uhlans trying to cross the map, but only four or five getting back. That was a lot of XP being donated to Hazza and King of Osmane, who'd be sending more shipments. A hand cavalry attack coming through. This is indicating possible Spahi play from King of Osmane because it's only buffing his Gendarmes Hussars instead of sending cav combat himself.
Yeah, that's true. He has sent.
Oh no,
he sent cav combat. Yeah, he sent all those other cav cards already. We do see that the TC, I think, from Germany is going to go down as the secondary one, if you will. So I think that's going to go down in a bit once they see it or react to it, but maybe not. I guess they're just going in for the kill. Or, okay, no, they pulled back. Okay, all right, they pulled back. So, yeah, it's looking rough for Kynesie, but a 219 military pop, 223 to 117. And then economically, it's very, very close too. So, yeah, this is very, very close for sure. As far as the military compositions, I think I favor France's and Ottomans a little bit more here. You think so too?
Yeah, it's just numbers of cuirassiers here. It's just a lot of HP on these units. 650 just a tank. There's a nice amount of war wagons and Manchu still alive, but it's just not enough to kill all the cavalry before they engage on top of this chained out arquebusier mass. The flying crow has gone down already, but you see now that the French cavalry is up to his infantry units. They're not the strongest units with no infantry upgrades up for Kynesie. They just crumple underneath. And okay, the hand combat's gone, but the Janissaries, the Aegis guns, and dragoons are still fighting, and the military population is so one-sided.
Yeah, there we go. So the first game goes over to Hazza and Osmane. That was a really, really good game. Some high-level plays. I really, really like seeing that. We do see that there is a TC for Osmane in the middle. Actually, his third TC went up there. But yeah, I think it really kind of favored France and Ottomans there, and I really, really like that they pushed hard early. Forced China and Germany to also respond early. Perhaps if China and Germany were able to get an FF out from one of them at least, then it would have been a lot closer, I think. As it was pretty close. We saw some good moves out from Tit and Kynesie. Perhaps the raiding with the units through the boat kind of didn't really pay off. I like the idea. But Hazza and Osmane just reacting beautifully to it.
Yeah, at the lower level of gameplay, you can imagine players not really being prepared to take a cav raid from ships moving across the middle pond, but enough line of sight and dragoons fast moving anti-cavalry closing in behind to clean that up. Special shout out, I think, for Tit's 3 double Sodner play as card number 1 in the second age. I thought it was a very, very smart play, and it worked really well with the training Uhlans, sending the doppels for the siege, and also his Chinese ally, Kynesie, sending Bowman, the 82 canoes as first card. So that really early 3-unit competition. The Janissaries, they couldn't really engage. They didn't want to engage. They kept backing off, and so the Hussars. And the barracks went down, and eventually had enough units to take down the stable as well and force Hazza into a double stable drop. Still in kind of forward-based territory, but that was nice. That was nice momentum, and that allowed one of the players, Kynesie, to get the age up to the third age. Went up the Confucian Academy, possibly Porcelain Tower here could have been slightly better, but I don't think it was clear cut which one it was better.
Yeah, when he aged, so Porcelain Tower is obviously an eco upgrade. Confucius Academy gives the Flying Crow and 8 Arquebus. So certainly without a doubt, for the short term, Confucius Academy is better. As it goes on, perhaps Porcelain Tower is better. Something that I've said, but some players have also disagreed with me on. one thing that is that my kind of rule of thumb is if you're intending to stay age 2 for a long time, then I think Porcelain Tower, age 3 for a long time, I think Porcelain Tower is better. But if you're going to go to age 4 before too long, and China would like to go age 4 before too long, then the Confucius Academy is perhaps better. But yeah, we'll look at some of the post-game stats here. We see units killed. Hazza+Mane. I kind of like that. I didn't mean to say that, but Hazza+Mane.
You just mentioned he's still a love child, or maybe has mine from the land Manchester when Kaiser and Hazza shared a bed together.
Yeah, so Hazza+Mane definitely doing well there. We'll look at some of the combat XP. Hazza really just taking that there. Well played from them. We'll look at some of the statistics, the resources gathered. We see Hazza just blowing that out of the water pretty much the whole game. Military unit population, pretty close a lot of the time. We see that Kynesie kind of trending downwards towards the end, and Hazza just kept on building more and more. So really well done from him. Those resources paying off. Villager population, we see Kynesie was actually building a whole lot of villagers. So as that game was going on more and more, perhaps if they were to hold, they would have had an opportunity to do a lot there. We'll look at the team stats for you guys. Yeah, we see that Kynesie did have a really good villager population lead, in fact, from 1645 or so on. And then military unit population, we see about that same time, 1645, we see Hazza+Mane actually having really good a lead over their opponents pretty much the rest of that game. And then you see the resources gathered there. Anything else you want to talk about that game before we get to the next one, Harrison?
Hazza's team had the full control of the trading route for about 5 minutes from the end, so that was just an extra, the equivalent of about 15 vills continuous gathering, no population for the players, which it does bolster the eco, especially the kind of gold income. I think, yeah, in the team game you have lots of access to wood, but the gold mines kind of run out quickly and are far away. But TP sets of coin work really, really nicely. Yeah, no, just special shout outs to that ship control between both players, both teams, and good coordination there. It looks like these two teams are warmed up, they're well in tune, and they're ready for more.
Yeah, so good point out. Good job pointing out the trade posts. Yeah, that was really important. We see the just excellent gameplay from both teams, and we're getting into the next game now. I don't believe it was laggy. It didn't seem to be. I will ask the players. We will have our post-game analytics too much. Yeah.
We could talk about that for another. I could talk about that for another.
Oh, I could too.
Minutes. Like,
I so could too. Yeah, looks like the lag was okay. We are going to randomize these civs for you guys and get that going real quick. The map is going to be, for anyone curious, this map was created by Mitsavi, and this is the beta version, but it's going to be a lot better for everyone else. You're going to be able to choose what maps to have on it, and it's going to be really, really awesome. The map is Baja California. And
we're praying that Kynesie gets either the Portuguese, the Japanese, and arguably Indians as well. Indians or Brits, because this is a big map, a booming map, and it will play into Kynesie+Tit style much more.
Yeah, so French and Spanish, the civs out for Hazza+Mane, and Aztecs and Kynesie, Aztecs and Chinese. We'll see if they. I think I might re-roll the. I don't know. We'll see if Kynesie are cool with Aztecs and Chinese, but I wouldn't be surprised if they re-rolled. All right, we'll get back to the game for you guys. Yeah, that's. I don't know. They know the rules. Go ahead.
It's a close one. I feel that Aztecs do have potentials for a safe water boom behind, they have strong naval combat as well as very fast boat production with the warrior priests and the fire pit. That is an option. However, it's like Hazard's going to go for the Hazard going for the reroll. They're rerolling French and Spanish, and none of them really stand out as great anti-water civs here. You know what? I think both teams and civs were awkward enough that it could have been a balanced match.
Yeah, I agree with that. Spanish, I don't know. I like Aztecs into France. Honestly, it's pretty good. Ottomans is the first new civ for Osmane, and the second one is Aztecs.
Wow.
Aztec, Osmane, and
That's nice.
yeah, Otto and Aztec. I think that's really really good. Yeah, Aztec and Aztec. All right, Aztec for Kynesie.
That's harsh. Come on, you can't have.
But that's
the
not
two same
necessarily.
tiers on the same team.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing though, to be honest. Especially a map like this where you've got water as an option. I really like Otto. I like Ottoman Aztec more. I agree, but they might stick with it. They might stick with it.
Yeah, I know that Kynesie does play a bit of Aztec. I played against him a while back, and he's playing Aztec. Seems very, very strong as it. And if anything, with double Aztec, it does give you strong rush options. I don't believe this will be lasting any longer than 15 minutes this game. Specifically, the Ottoman as the fourth pick as well. And you could even say that this does give the double Aztec team, shall I say, an easier time being super aggressive because, well, no, Osman still gets to age up at a good time as well, and then can drop down early military buildings. We could have one Aztec player going Messenger, one Aztec player going Shaman, but maybe both Messenger here because they want to get really fast and single. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in this game. I wouldn't want to be playing in this game. Let's put it that way.
There are options for sure. I do like the I do like the options out from both players. I would probably give Ottomans and Aztec a bit more of an advantage, but yeah, that's interesting for sure. Wheels know I'm rusty, so it gives me auto. Yeah, so let's see here. I would probably prefer Aztec and Ottomans. To be honest, if you age up with the war huts, the two war huts, while that is really good, Ottomans are just going to be up a whole lot faster, and they might be able to deny them. So I don't know what to expect. Certainly, if the game goes longer than 10 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised to see the players throwing in some fishing boats. But I don't know that I would expect it right off the bat due to the high level of pressure that all of these civs are able to put out early. Lots of units early is really is very common for Ottomans and Aztecs.
I mean, you could even play somewhat defensive and get one of your Aztec players up to the fortress age for not Arrow Knights, was it Eagle Run Knights? But I'm not too sure. Many players here will be going for cavalry / coyote heavy mix here. The fact that you get two war huts on age up does provide nice defensive play styles, and in 2v2 that might be an interesting option. In 1v1, it's usually all about the map control, tempo advantage. I'm interested to see how this goes. I don't really know what to say or how to comment on this because I've never seen a 2v2 with 3 Aztec players in it. Let's put it bluntly.
Yeah, that's one thing I really, really like about the Jackpot tournament. You see matchups you never, ever see before. So, yeah, 3 Aztecs in a 2v2. It's not something you basically ever see. I haven't ever seen it before, I don't think. And it should be some pretty exciting gameplay here. I think Kynesie are considering re-rolling, re-hosting. We'll see what they do, though. They're not greening up yet. I'm sure they're debating it.
I think they will play it because the problem is if you re-roll it, you could leave yourself open for something much worse. The map will change as well, so you don't really know what map you'll be playing against, and you might have another situation where you might be playing China and Dutch or China ports or something like that, and maybe two civs which don't gel together well in the colonial age and not the greatest aggro civs in the second age will be under serious pressure from what Hazza King of Osmane. And these civs which Hazza and King, they're quite straightforward to play at the super high level. Age up, maybe send a couple of crate shipments just to get the spam going, and send a few military shipments and just get these two big death balls of around about 100 population after 6 minutes, and just together just push in. And you'd have to be, because you don't know what civ you're going to get, it feels super risky changing at this point, and you can fight fire with fire at this point, and that's probably what we're going to see.
Yeah, something else that Brimhook was throwing out in the chat is wall dance is a possibility. If a team were to wall dance, keep in mind you don't actually get the upgrade for them for the Bastion until age 3. So if the opponents rush hard, it could be rough in that aspect. But theoretically, walling plus going C is an option. I don't think it's a very good option, but perhaps with some units behind, it could be a decent option. I could see some walls with Avis doing really well. I don't expect it though. These players are not, as far as I know, are not wall lamers. Kynesie perhaps a bit, but yeah.
Just want to quickly check before we jump in. Are we doing summer, winter, or just random? Because your wall and sea play is dependent on one of the two.
Yeah, yeah. I think random is fine. I've thought about this in some other matches, and Kamchatka, the map is completely different whether it's summer or winter, and I think it's good to have it as random on Kamchatka. And so while I don't like the whiteness of the snow, it's a lot of viewers don't like that. I think it's good to have that option on a map like Kamchatka, but Hudson Bay perhaps doesn't matter quite as much, but we're going with this. So it is Hudson Bay. There are 6 whales out. For anyone just joining, this is the second game of the first quarterfinals match. It is Hazza and King of Osmane versus Kynesie+Tit+Timojin. It is Tit in blue as Aztecs, Kynesie in yellow as Aztecs, King of Osmane in green as Ottomans, and then Hazza in red as Aztecs. So 3 Aztec players in this game. We see that the trade post spawned north and south instead of kind of east-west, between the players. We'll take a look at the mines and haunts, make sure that it's pretty even for the teams. Tends to be...
Yeah, I'm happy with the hunts and mine spawn for both players. Same in-base res of the starting bison plus 1 extra musk ox and 1 extra caribou. So the biggest difference between summer and winter in Hudson Bay, let's get this one out before the game really heats up, is look at this ice sheet around the lake. You can't build on it. You can drop your docks, but you can't build any walls, any towers, any noble huts, war huts, town centers, anything like that. Can't build it. And there's also no islands in the center of Hudson Bay, so you can't drop any noble huts for Arrow Knight production on the islands. No walled town dance boosted war huts with the 500 anti-ship damage type of situation. So in terms of if Kynesie wanted to do some sort of defensive building play with water, it's near enough impossible to play that play style and also go for the sea at the same time. As in, you probably commit to the sea, but you won't be sending cars like is it town dance or
town dance, team coastal defenses. Those I don't think any of the players have, any of the civs actually have team coastal defenses, but yeah, you're not going to see something like that. Really good pointing out the differences in that aspect. For anyone curious, the natives are Huron and Cree. Both actually pretty decent natives. You can build a lot of them due to the improvements from them. Cree are one of the better natives in the game, actually. Very high HP skirmisher type unit. Decently low attack, but yeah, really, really good. Here on Matlets, very expensive. They're good, but perhaps not quite cost efficient. We do see some villagers coming out from Kynesie right now, and Tit has not sent anything forward. 3 villagers out from Kynesie. That's pretty early. He's aging up too.
So he's aged up with the warrior instead of either the messenger or the shaman. So he's having to build the war hut with his villagers. Usually you'd age up with the messenger so you can kind of get up early and make advantage.
Tit's
the early
feeding
age
him.
up.
Tit's feeding him.
Yeah, I mean that is a super early age up, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Kynesie's trying to throw his war hut up before the age up is completed, so he can put his forward spawn point. And I think he's actually going. Oh, he's going to be close. It's really going to be close. I'm not going to call it. It's going to be too close to call.
I think he's going to get it up. It is really close, but I think he's going to get it up. Yeah, Tit's feeding him. He's not aging. He's less than 100 food. He's been feeding Kynesie. So it is a feed. Aztec feeding Aztec. I think this could be really, really good for them. It's going to allow them to put a lot of pressure early. We see that there is no FB out from Hazza and Osmane. Before a lot of this aggression gets started, I want to take a look at the decks really quick. There's not going to be a whole
it's 2 Skull Knights. I thought it was just 1. 2 Skull Knights.
Yeah, 2 Skull Knights H2. Yeah.
That's strong. I think King actually might be getting fed as well because Hazza is a low food count at the same time. Lots of wood choppers here. Not age. No, he's already the second age. What I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're both H2. We see that 3 warrior priests is the first shipment as Hazza in age 2. But versus this aggression, that might not pay off fast enough. He aged up fast also. So no 2 war huts out from him. Outpost and base from Osmane for the age up outpost. We'll see if this can pay off. It needs to pay off really, really fast. We'll look at units in queue because I'm curious about that. It's no military units in queue for Hazza or Osmane, not currently. 1 coyote just now in queue. But this is a really, really good mass out from Kynesie. We'll see how much damage it can do. That's a lot of siege damage.
Yeah, he sent himself 6 Puma while training 5 Puma. Skull Knights and age up, as well as sending out Aztec scouting party for the 3 Jaguar Prowlers. 240 HP, 36 siege. These guys will tank a lot of building fire. Out come the Minutemen. Remember, these Puma Spearmen are no longer classed as siege troopers and actually could stay around. But here comes the zoo. 4 polar bears from Hazza charging in, and these guys 500 HP in this. No, that's Big Jerome the tame polar bear. That's a pet. So 250 for the natives. But look at Big Jerome the pet bear. That is super strong.
Yeah, that's a lot of HP. That's gonna do something for them for sure. But I think this TC is gonna go down. The mace there are also helping out, just kind of taking the damage so the Pumas and the Skull Knights, Jaguars can all do a lot of damage. But this TC is gonna go down. But that is, if a bunch of villagers don't die, it's not necessarily going to be worth it for all of the feeding and all the pressure put into this. Some villagers going down, though. Let's see how many go down. This is going to be really important to see how many can make it out. Coyotes coming in, doing damage to the villagers. It's quite a few going down. They might call it some really ripe cheese out from Kynesie here. But it's working. Really well done for them so far. Let's look at the units lost. I want to see how many villagers have gone down so far. 3 down. Just 3 down. So, honestly, not too bad for Osmane, actually. It could be better, of course. But with villagers staying alive, that's the really important thing. That barracks does not go down either. Let's take a look. I forget to see who had water deck. We do see Hazza has a bit of water deck, no schooner cards, a couple of galleys, frigates out from King of Osmane. No, okay, we do see Tit actually has a water deck. So let's see. I'm curious when he's going to start aging, or if he's going to continue feeding.
He doesn't need to age. He can continuously train villagers while also pumping out fishing boats from 2 docks, schooners, reduces the cost and increases train time. So greatly gets that economic potential out, and you can continuously feed in. With tributes in your resources, I think it's a flat rate 12% tribute fee or 12 resources, or it's somewhere around there, but it doesn't change over time. So each time you send a 500 resources, it's going to be the same value they're getting. It's not like the market trade where it gets worse and worse as the game goes on. But you can see what Kynesie ran into a problem there. He had one war hut, but he was only he couldn't maximize. Well, he maximized his unit production, but he couldn't overproduce units. He couldn't make any more than he actually could at that point, and that was the problem. Only having one war hut. Did get down the Ottoman town center. King has been trying to age for a long time, but he's basically put that plan on hold. So it's Kynesie with the over-aggression, not getting overly much done, but does hamper King aging up behind. Tit is now starting to start his economic boom, but he's only got one warrior priest dancing because he just needs all of his villagers gathering woods to age up. He is now aging up behind this. Goodbye war huts. You can see Kynesie just evacuating this point. There's no point defending that. But Hazza has had a standard age up, standard shipment progression behind it. Three warrior priests first card, and you can see that out of all the civs here, Hazza's had the most undisrupted game. And even King of Osmane now saying 2 galleys, don't fight the docks, just sit back and keep them idled up. Trying to fight the docks is a bad idea, and you'll be losing HP, and he's losing a lot of it already, and that could be potential shipment from one of the Aztec players to defend this as well.
Yeah, that's true. I think you might be able to take down one dock. Not necessarily worth it though. We do see Tit aged up, like you were mentioning. We see that Hazza is still on 4 warrior priests. It's Kynesie is on 1 warrior priest. New war hut out from Kynesie. Military population, pretty big lead for Osmane currently. Economically though, really good for Tit and Kynesie. We do see that one of the galleys went down from the dock.
Yeah, that's sloppy, that is, unfortunately. Especially with their charging in with land military behind this. A couple of canoes do come out, and the fact that it's now 3 canoes versus 1 wounded galley makes this potential push not work. However, if you can take down the dock from the land, no more fishing boats and no more canoes.
Yeah, we see a dock coming out from Hazza right now. We do see that he is sieging down the war hut from Tit. Yeah, I really, that was a perfect timing to send those 2 galleys, honestly. And it looks like militarily, I'm a little bit surprised Tit and Kynesie haven't gone with hardly any mace. You see that the coyotes are engaging right now, and they're pulling back now. Okay. So that was a little bit surprising to see them engage there. We do see 3 privateers coming out now. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, really good play from Hazza and Osmane. The 3 privateers should definitely clean up water. And looking at their military, they're definitely ahead too. So something I was thinking about earlier, perhaps aging up with the 2 war huts for Kynesie would have been better than the 2 skull knights. Being fed, he would have been able to pump out a lot more units, I think. What do you think of that?
Well, the Skull Knights offered a lot of siege, but they can be focused down with Minimate Town Centre very quickly, as you're right in saying. So that is an opportunity. And also, you save resources from not having to move villagers across the large map and actually build it yourself, which took a long time. So you certainly have a lot of credit and merit in saying what you said. Tit sends an advanced dock as well, but unfortunately, too much pressure on the water. Their water, so the GTs are called here. The play really was Kynesie to move in, cause maximum disruption and chaos to Hazza's team, and allow Tit to get about 20, 30 fishing boats up behind, get a decent economy, and then carry from behind. However, Hazza just has had a standard, if anything, a standard 1v1 build, really, or like 1v1 greedy play style with the messenger age up early 3 warrior priests. Once King of Osmane got to the 3rd age, then the point of Kynesie rushing Ottoman kind of went out the window. Even having starting to get that middle trading route, and you just see Kynesie didn't have much eco. He had 30 villas behind, and Tit had some land villagers, but the fact that Tit just didn't have a defensive build to pump out any units, Kynesie's whole war hut going down. Oh, that's just brutal. It looked to be so exciting and so strong to start off with, but once the realization of Hazza sending 10 maces and actually cleaning up defending Kynesie and King's base, I know you're losing a couple buildings for it and maybe a couple villas, which Ottoman villas, it's not the biggest deal here and there.
Yeah, we do
back
see
out.
Osmane did hit age 3. He did have the trade post, as you were mentioning, or at least built one. The other two were on the way. Definitely commanding lead at that point. I think honestly it was kind of a perfect storm for Kynesie and Tit. Hazza and Osmane did not build military production buildings early at all, and despite that, they were able to hold. So well done from them. Kynesie and Tit. I like the cheese. I like the opportunity to use some really crazy strategies, but it didn't pay off there. We'll see if they can take a game off of Hazza and Osmane. I wasn't expecting this to be 3-0, but definitely Hazza and Osmane definitely showing up. We'll take a look at the post-game stats real quick for you guys. We see units killed there and lost. Look at combat XP. Hazza just completely killing it. Thanks for the subscription, Mir Styler. I appreciate it a whole lot. I hope you're enjoying this match. We'll look at the resources gathered for the players. We see Kynesie kind of the lowest, actually, for a while there.
You need to remember, though, Hazza's military XP, I think, in combat is overinflated due to those warrior priests dancing all his time. You can kind of see naturally how much XP Hazza got by just dancing with the warrior priests. Already about, you can argue, about 650 above Kynesie at that point, but obviously Kynesie has some fighting XP as well. So it's really hard to kind of comment of how much. You could probably argue against what Tit had when Tit had that one warrior priest, but a lot of XP from the warrior priest. But that just allowed Hazza to then send shipment afterwards. 700 woods to infrastructure, produce units, the Mega Sultans then to deal with that heavy infantry. Like it was a 1 unit push in from Kynesie. That was the Skulls, the Pumas, and the Jaguars all trying to siege down buildings. But a couple of Minutemen kiting, you had the outpost town center firing, Vil was punching, Macy's behind, and all of those polar bears from Hazza underrated there.
Yeah, for sure. The polar bears were really strong. Also the combat XP takes into account buildings going down. So yeah, you're right. But even just looking at the units killed, Hazza did an exceptional job there. We look at the military unit population. We see how many units came out early. 31 units at 5 minutes 6 seconds or thereabouts. Really, really well done from Kynesie. And if you look at team stats, you can see how many he actually had out there, and it's just crazy. We'll look at resource gathered again real quick. Villager population. We see Osmane having no TC. He was very, very low on villager pop. We see that even Kynesie idled his TC for a while there, trying to get more units out. Maybe 2 war huts wouldn't have been all right. I'm curious. I don't know. I'm surprised he wasn't able to create any.
I think not training villagers there well, I don't want to say a mistake because you can clearly see he was investing the resources into food, into training more pumas to siege down the town centers to make that push more effective. But
with only one war hat, I feel like and being fed, I feel like he would have been able to get full pops out, full batches out. And it's also worth mentioning that the villagers take about 2 minutes to pay off, meaning it takes one villager about 2 minutes to gather 100 food. If you're able to make something happen within those 2 minutes, then it's really good. But yeah, we'll get out of the post-game stats, get into the next game. Try not staying there too long. Thanks for the follows, guys, the subscription. Appreciate all of you guys. If any of you have not watched all of the games so far in the tournament, the play-ins, I don't want to spoil anything. I expect the quarterfinals to be much, much better, much more even than the play-ins. But if you guys want to watch any of the play-ins, they are on my YouTube channel, and there is a link for that there in my About section. You can click the YouTube button. Getting to it, we're going to randomize these civs and the map real quick for you guys. The map is going to be Nepal. I like this map. What do you think of it, Harrison?
He called me Hazza, #1 Harry confirmed right here on the mic. I call myself Hazza12345 and use unsuspecting opponents on the RE ladder possibly. I actually think this is a really well thought out map. It's a little bit awkward in a team game in terms of a design point of view because you have each judge starting town centres on this little circular section, which is then kind of copied and pasted across. Like it works in terms of gameplay and balance. It's not really effective. You look at it and go, "Huh, that's interesting." This Nepal region having multiple of these really raised cliff areas. Oh, that's interesting. But the fact that it's a mid-map TP section which doesn't cross the entire map, I really like because it means that the TPs are closer together. So you could say it's easier to. You could argue it's easier to defend. Also argue it's easier to pressure because you can only focus on one point. The actual TP line itself isn't overly powerful in its own right. You start off with macaque and base for extra treasure helping. There's lots of treasures on this map, and contrary to what people say, it's quite a high resource map. I do feel you have resources both sides of your town centre, enough in base to get the job done. Really like it, especially with the little wall cliff sections. Walling is an option, as well as just breaks up some of the open gameplay we are so used to seeing on maps like Iowa, Winter, Kamchatka, and others where natural choke points and barriers are a little less common to find.
Yeah, we see that Hazza+KingofOsmane re-rolled. It is Ottomans. That was their last re-roll. Ottomans in India. For them now. I'd be happy with that, with those civs.
I've just seen Tit+Timojin's civs. Absolute hype. I know that somebody's calling for this civ selection in the chat. Tit, his #1 premier civ is the Indian civilization, and Kynesie's #1 civ, Portuguese, but he's also very, very, very good at Japan. Basically, Kynesie, you can say it's like an S-rank player in both Portuguese and Japan play style. Yes. And probably falls off faster than other players in different civs. So if this is going to be the match...
It was re-rolled again.
Oh, jailed, man. These rules, come on.
Well, each team only gets 2 in a match total. So it is... Osmane has used both of theirs. Tit and Kynesie have 1 left each. So I think that's okay to use the reroll there for Kynesie. The first civ for Hazza+KingofOsmane is Chinese. The second one is French. And then for Kynesie, it is going to be Spanish and Aztecs. I don't know about this. Spanish and Aztecs. Okay, so they have pretty decent units age 2. And China and French. China, not so good units age 2. France actually doesn't have a whole lot of good options, I don't think. Cav, of course, but muskets are pretty lackluster. French muskets, especially in H2, they have no upgrades. Skirmishers are... Well, crossbowmen are an option. Team early skirmishers is an option, but not likely. Something that is a possibility. I think the team early skirmishers card is better with China than most civs, but I don't expect it by any means, especially from these players. They're just really, really solid players, and I wouldn't expect them to be sending something like that. This is the first match of the quarterfinals random. There's 3 more matches in quarterfinals. There was 7 matches in play-ins. Yeah, Spanish Aztecs. What do you think of that? Definitely unique civs, not civs you see together very often.
Well, they have the edge on water. Both I mean, both cities have water shipments, but the Aztecs can actually fight water quite well. The Spain do have schooners and decent water economy if they want to go for that style of play, as well as outposts and war huts, especially if it's the summer spawn version. You can arguably defend it. If it's winter, you'll see a replay of last game where Tit really couldn't hang on to those docks on the icy edge there. So praying for a summer spawn here for the sake of Team Kynesie. In terms of if there was no water whatsoever and the same map with the trading posts, I'd probably say it's very, very tough for Kynesie, as well as the fact that Hazza+, KingofOsmane are better players, and I think the play styles of those civs work well to a player who's very good at supremacy 1v1, because it's a mixture of eco and military, but it's going to be tough. Like, I'm tempted to say, can we give Kynesie a 5% eco advantage on a handicap, or 10%, just to kind of nudge this third game, not final game, but third game slightly closer, because I'm worried that it's going to be super tough. Otherwise, we might try and see Tit and Kynesie go really aggro, really aggressive. Maybe send a coin crate first to Spanish, get that double musketeer production going, and then send all vills onto food, and then maybe send pikes and rods behind, and just trying to overwhelm. But I don't know, man. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. Obviously, Hazza+KingofOsmane doing really, really well. Game 1 was really close. Game 2, Tit and Kynesie threw a feed strat in there, and it didn't pay off. Game 3, I think they have a win condition as Spanish and Aztecs, though. If they fight Age 2, they should have a good options into China and France. So I'm okay with them keeping these civs. For anyone curious, you saying I should or the rerolls should only reroll their own civs, or reroll only their own civs in the map. I only had 2 per match, so in a best of 5, if it goes all 5 games, you only have 2 rerolls. Also, it's worth noting that if you don't like your opponent's civs, you can reroll, and perhaps it's all about luck. Perhaps your opponents are going to get really good civs, and you just have mediocre ones. And if you only reroll your own civs, that doesn't affect anything. So I like this option. We do see that the game is loading. This is game number 3, match point. It is 2-0 up for KingofOsmane and Hazza, and Tit and Kynesie down. But they do have a win condition in fighting H2 and putting a lot of aggression out. It is Spanish and Aztecs versus China and France. We see that Kynesie has spawned in yellow as Aztecs. Tit has spawned in red as Spanish. Hazza has spawned in teal as China, and Osmane has spawned in green as France. We'll go to shipment sent. We'll confirm that the map spawn is pretty fair. Generally tends to be, but just confirming that.
Possible far forward mine for Kynesie is secondary, but all players have a very defensive close in base 1, so sometimes the map spawns with 2 safe in base mines. Yeah. It looks like this one is a 1 in base and 1 nearby, so extra resources, but map balance is fine. The only thing I've noticed, which is different to the ideal spawn, it's very tiny, but no level 2 treasure to the northeast by this coin mine. As you can see, there's a nice 130 XP by 2 bowlers the other side, but that doesn't matter because all explorers are fighting in the middle. Spanish player with the war dog, with team up the Aztec explorer as well, should easily pick up this treasure. 90 food, that's quite nice. Really kiting it, really over the top here. They could have just, I feel they could have just really just attacked that straight on, get it done, killed the gardens quicker, then you just move on to your next treasure straight away. Going on to the turn off the fog wall, they have scouted this 100 wood, 2 polar bears to the north side. Crackshot should be available here, and with the rest of these units, could be an easy pickup. Crackshot comes off, and a polar bear goes down.
Yeah, for the chat wondering, Tit and Kynesie have 1 reroll left. You are able to use 2 in 1 game, but they saw a win condition here, so I think they decided to go with it. You could, of course, get worse civs. China isn't that great in Age 2. Early on, they can ship military units, but as the game goes on, as you guys saw in game number 1, a little bit lackluster. I do like that Tit has given the XP from the Treasure Guardians over to Kynesie, getting the double XP from them. So really well done in that regard. And we'll take a look at the decks real quick. We see that Kynesie is already aging. Tit's feeding him again. Tit's feeding him again.
Is that confirmed? Are you sure?
Tit has no food. He is.
Yeah. Because he's chopping lots of wood way too early in the game for it to work out. Maybe chopping wood for an ATP play, but his explorer's on the wrong side of the map. He wants to try and capture TPs underneath the noses of Hazza+, KingofOsmane, and Kynesie's already up, and the war hut's going down. 3 minutes. Is he going to go for the same age up here? Looks like it. He's going to go for the warrior because he's already dropped the war priest, the war hut down. He's not fast aging.
Yeah. I'm not sure he's going to get this war hut up though in time. It might be too close.
No, he won't.
He won't.
That is such a shame, and it's so huge.
I don't think it'll matter enough. By the time he gets his first batches out, I think the Skull Knights will arrive. But yeah, it's a
couple of Skull Knights on this Wonder. I don't think it would ever get enough HP down. And I guess the villages are close enough to the town centre for it to start sieging. But if you have the Skull Knights there with Puma's trains and a Puma batch, could actually get the Wonder to some sort of low HP as the Wonder ages up and completes, and then takes it down quickly afterwards. But at that point, I guess it's not going to be overly mattering. And the fact that another sling is coming in here, I don't know. It didn't work last time. And
second card from Tit, Explorer Combat. He's going to be training war dogs and fighting with them, I think. So
he's an H1 though, so it's well, they're H2 now. Like these dogs are H2 dogs, but you only have 5 of them. It's unless it does affect.
It affects the war dogs.
Build limit. Does it affect build limit?
No, it doesn't affect the build limit.
No.
I do have to say, for feeding, I would expect a little bit better deck from Tit. He does have capitalism, does have eco theory, perhaps 2 vills in there for your even Team Explorer attack and HP would be decent options. They don't go with any of that, but lots of aggression here from Kynesie. We'll see if it's able to pay off. Last game it didn't pay off, but Aztec and Ottomans definitely better civs at getting units out early than China and France. We see no War Academy yet for Hazza, and Osmane just building his stable now. Stable not going to do a whole lot versus these units. Puma and Skull Knight excellent versus them. And Chukunu were sent, but there's Mace there, so I don't know that they're going to get a whole lot done. Okay, Minutemen are popped now. That's a good choice. Yeah. What do you think of this? Do you think they have a better shot than the last game?
I think actually Kynesie has a decent shot here. I looked at Hazza's deck, and you can never be prepared for all situations, but not having your Box of Rebellion / Colonial Militia card here is a mistake. Puma Spearmans, they'll go down to 1 shot. Maces will go down to 1 shot, and you'd at least defend this a little bit better than what you currently are. Now losing another village, not be able to get a military production building out. If you do, can't really train units, and you don't have the TP out, so your XP income's pretty poor, and your 8 bows have come out, but they've been taken down pretty quickly. A couple of Hussars out, but once the Coyotes actually commit on top with some Pumas behind, they get some good trades. But you can see how he's a bit undersized. So he goes to the town centre of the army, it's half and half, and this town centre is just not enough siege for it to really get taken down, and you could have actually really punished Hazza's remaining village and scare away the Hussars, but the Hussars are still alive. Now there's Bowman. Minutemen could have been called for KingofOsmane, actually be quite nice, but now it's just more units defensively available. And even the pikemen time, and yeah, this is falling apart pretty quickly now for Kynesie.
Yeah, it's close for sure. The Pumas are doing a lot of work, though. The Cav are relatively useless here, and there's no barracks out for Hazza and Osmane, so they're not able to make any unit that is outside of Cav and military shipments. So if Kynesie were to pull back a little bit, he is. and make a few more units and push it back in just a bit. I think Hazza+Osmane might not have an answer. No War Academy yet from Hazza, and KingofOsmane still only on a stable. So we're not going to see we're not going to see anything but cav from them until they have a barracks or War Academy out. No shipments left for either of the players that results in anything but cav.
But KingofOsmane has sent 4 CDB. He's got both steel traps and place of mines. Has been unraided, untouched. Even now, he's now sent 700 wood, so he can get a bit more infrastructure down, and may want to build in Hazza's base to defend. War Academy is coming up now. You see, Kynesie just kind of had to back out, really, just wait for some sort of extra reinforcements because they ran out of impetus. But Step Riders engaging on the Mace Sultans at this moment, and there's nothing really here from Tit to defend. One War Dog coming out, which will, nearly as strong as a single Step Rider, but we'll get an alright trade here. But just, slows Kynesie if it wants to go back in again. But at this point, I think both Hazza, KingofOsmane has stabilized. Look at the military population. You can see again, they're trying to go C later on. Kynesie now dropping down 2 docks, but we talked about how awkward it is to go C on this deck, and the fact that Hazza didn't have Boxer Rebellion in his deck. Well, he does have 2 War Junks available and has the Fucon and Team 3 Fire Junks as well in the 3rd age. So if he ever gets to the 3rd age, water control would be hard for Kynesie. Hussar's coming out, raiding around. Tit has no army because he's an age 1, and the Dogs and Explorer are far from home. He's getting his great coats now, so happy Harrison. Great coats are on the way. But, Tit's aged up at 8 minutes 45. Just to try and really help sling Kynesie, but the sling hasn't worked. The problem is it's really hurt. It's hurt Kynesie and Tit to really hurt Hazza, but KingofOsmane is double score of everybody else. Mass amount of cavalry, and could be looking to go to the 3rd age, and that could be strong in its own right.
Yeah, one thing that a feed needs to do is give your team the eco advantage. After all said and done, if you don't have the eco advantage, then it isn't really paying off. Of course, there's a lot of things that happen up to that point, but yeah, if we look at the eco, it is 60 to 43. Huge advantage for Hazza and KingofOsmane. 11 to 53 on military pop. Big advantage for them there. We do see that Spain and Aztecs, though, they are in age 2 now. That's a really big mass of cav, actually. I don't know if any units in age 2 is going to be able to handle it. It would be Rods and Pumas. I mean, Spain and Aztecs, they have good options here. But yeah, this is rough for Tit and Kynesie. They are building fishing boats. If Hazza+Osmane don't ship caravels, then or the the Funes, or the War Junks, caravels or the War Junks, then I could see them having an avenue back into this game, but it's going to be really, really rough. All these villagers here, are they going to be able to make it to the TC? I don't think so. And if they're not able to make it to the TC, that outpost is going to go down.
I'm not worried about the outpost. If I was Tit, I'm worried about the villagers and losing the army
Right.
at this moment. You can't just send 7 Rodoleros and then lose it to his colonial mass and not really achieve anything behind. And had so many shipments stacked up, waiting when he's getting to the 3rd age. You just waiting for his units to come out now. He's now spat out 7 rods, 700 wood, 8 pikes. So yes, he can now somewhat defend this Hussar heavy army, but there's enough Chukanews just to scare these guys away. And yeah, if you win this fight, great. The Hussars can run away and then age up behind. KingofOsmane hitting the Fortress age now. That's super strong, and skirms would work well here. Dragoons would work well here. Another town centre would also do well. There's plenty of options available for the French player. And yes, Kynesie is now on the water, but he's only just got into the water, and actually probably has invested more resources than he's actually got. So he hasn't even broken even, shall we say, at the moment. And that will need more time for that to even pan out. And just even Vet Hussar with Cav Combat could just come back in and crush.
Yeah. Pikes, Rods, Puma, Musketeers, all good versus Cav. So I like those options. We do see Tit is the only one really making military at the moment. Kynesie throwing in a few, but he's focusing heavily on water. We do see that Hazza has scouted that now, though, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if caravels or warjunks were to come in really soon. One thing that is worth noting is the hunts for Tit. He has almost nothing left. He's got a couple ox, musk ox over here, 4 of them. One's on 492 food, and the other is done. So it's basically 3. He does have this right here, so he has something. But if this pressure stays here for a while, he's not gonna have. Well, he might not even have villagers, but he's not gonna have hunts to gather. Yeah. Okay. Warjunks just shipped now. But not shipped to the dock. I think that's fine. Shipped where they were, totally fine. And they are going to put a hamper onto Kynesie. But 71 to 74 eco. So we see the fishing boats have done a good amount so far. But yeah, this mass out from Hazza+Osmane, Osmane being H3. It's going to be really, really rough for them. There's an engagement here now. Pikes, rods, war dogs, musketeers, minutemen. They're half of the army is gone though.
Yeah, you think that'd be a great fight for Tit, and then you kind of just open your eyes again and then thinking, oh, hang on a minute, there's still the same amount of cav there, and all the infantry are now gone. You're like, ah. Oh.
And they're vet cap too.
A lot of HP have gone away from the cavalry, and the pikes you can say trade cost effectively, but there's still units are there, and there's still Chukunu available to trade with remaining units behind this, and I think all this idle time in its own right, or just kind of pushing around Tit's eco, has actually basically been enough. It doesn't need to go for the town centre at this point. Just play it safe, keep your military alive. Now reinforcing with vet dragoons as well. So staying with that kind of cavalry role player for the team. I was like, hey, I'm going to go for the cavalry dragoon role. The frigate comes in, and the 2 Chinese war junks weren't great, but 2 docks being sent. He didn't push in with the war junks. He's been training fire junks as well. Fire junks, great versus fishing boats. Also, great versus docks. Not great versus warships in its own right, though. But pushing in with a frigate and all those ships, that should clean up Kynesie. And once they realise that Tit has no real avenue to the 3rd age, Kynesie's eco expansion, the water's been royally shut down, and now King of Osmane, double score of Tits. Town centre down in the middle. French just being the strong team civ that they are. It's going to take a miracle for Tit to come back in, and we're praying for that miracle. We really are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Something that is worth noting is there are no forward military production buildings out from Hazza and Osmane. So while they have bigger military, it's streaming across the whole map. So defender's advantage is real for Tit and Kynesie. If they can hold, then perhaps they'll have an avenue back into this game. Perhaps. I'm just trying to think of ways they could possibly come back to it. It is worth noting the war junks, fire junks, and the frigates coming out. The fire junks take down one of the docks, and he calls it, Kynesie calls it GG. Alrighty. So Hazza+Osmane recognizing that water was really important, and basically their only avenue back into the game. And that is game number 3 going to Hazza and Osmane. Did you expect this to be a 3-0?
I was expecting it to be 3-1 to Hazza and King. After giving a bit more thoughts before the first game started, I was expecting Hazza King of Osmane to come out ahead, because I had some sort of this notion that, like, Tit and Kynesie are some sort of team demigods, but when you actually break it down, it's just the players still having their 1v1 supremacy skill, should I say, but just working together. And Hazza's top 2, top 3 at the moment, probably the 3rd best player at the moment, due to playing a bit of other treaty and being a bit out of practice, but he's certainly worthy of his major general rank. King of Osmane, though, been recently hitting a good patch of form, doing very well in Incog's Empire Cup 1. I think having a very good performance in EPL 2 as well, and a decent run in the Winter Championship. So both players very strong on this other side. And I'm just thinking, if Kynesie defeated Giving Anxiety Soldier 5-0, and Hazza King of Osmane just defeated Kynesie 3-0, then if ever, I don't know how the brackets work out, but You can just see how good a really good team is, shall I say, in that perspective. Because we were saying that how Soldier and Giving Anxiety were a good team, much better than the other 7 teams which were defeated and knocked out. But then putting these results together, you're thinking, oh, hang on, there's a gulf between very good players and the best.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's yeah, Hazza+KingofOsmane just really showing up, doing really, really well. We see that the chat was saying it's a bit of a disappointing series. Yeah, I thought Tit and Kynesie, they obviously, as you guys know, they have been teammates for a long time. They love playing together, and they're really, really good. They do really, really good in team games. But Hazza+KingofOsmane just really do showing up. And, you know, game 2, game 3, Tit and Kynesie doing some cheese feed strats. Perhaps on second thought, or on, you know, hindsight is 2020, that perhaps they could have done it a bit better with like 2 war huts, or perhaps just not even done it at all. I think Spanish and Aztec do have some really good options in Age 2 versus China and France, but that's what they went for. And Hazza+KingofOsmane take game number 3. We'll look at some of the post-game stats for you guys. You see the units killed, units lost there. Look at combat XP. Kynesie getting the most, as you mentioned in the last game, though. The warrior, the war chief for Aztec, just doubling the XP from the units that the units can get. Resources gathered, that tells a lot of the story right there. Osmane just crazy high in resources gathered. About 22k resources gathered. Everyone else is around 13, 14k. Just really well done from him there.
I don't know how those lines work out, if it includes or doesn't include tributing resources. But even Hazza having an all respectable income, considering that pressure he was put under. You see all that idle time he had once the pressure came in, but idle time just means damage from the town centre. You train off quite well from town centre far. And if he has the Boxer Rebellion card, that would have been even better, and it would have made that push from Kynesie even less significant. And I think it was just KingofOsmane picking away a few of his units with the Hussars, but not fully engaging, waiting for the 8 bow shipment to come in, and then just reinforcing with a lot of units at the same time. Timed it with the 9 Chang pikemen from the town centre. Okay, the pikemen came out just a little bit before the crossbows and hussars, but at that point you're thinking that town centre's never going down, and even Hazza just repairing that town centre, just protect himself from a cheeky 5 Puma raid later on to try and get something. And if you can't even take down a town centre, it's just your game falls apart afterwards. And KingofOsmane coming through strong afterwards, and if he wasn't coming through strong now, in 5 minutes he'd been industrial with 2 factories, because you could just say, we're so far ahead, we don't have to make more military. I'm just going to save my units, send my resources, send 1,000 coin, age up, and then just play in another tech advantage. And once Kynesie lost that sea, those fire junks just taking down the docks with no docks, nowhere to hide your boats, nowhere to make warships, nowhere to try and anti-build an attack because there's ice, there's no war huts. All options were out there for Kynesie.
Yeah, for sure. It was worth a try, I suppose. Yeah, it was worth a try. It is really important to. By the way, you were mentioning resources gathered and tributing and all that. Tributing is not taken into account at all there. Okay. So, one thing that is worth noting is only 1,300 resources were attributed by Tit. So, I know it wasn't age 1 for a whole lot, but I think I perhaps would have expected more. From the little experience I have with feeding strategies myself, I would have expected that to be more. His second card being Explorer Combat could have been better for sure.
he was expecting Kynesie to feed the Spanish player for a Spanish revolt, but no, not this game. No Spanish revolt this time. And I think even at this level, Hazza King would just had enough to really put the brakes on something like that. And Spain came to the second age quite late, and they're behind us. They have a mask of European musketeers, but with no upgrades. Rodolera's pikemen easily picked off by the Chukanu masters of the Chinese player there, and even cavalry picking off pikemen as if they weren't too much. I think that's going to be enough for this game and for this series in general. I've got to say, Hazza, King of Osmane, has laid down the gauntlet for anybody else still remaining in this tournament. And even after that performance, and the difference between Hazza and Tit+Timojin, even the team featuring Kaiser and Maito may be looking at it thinking, oh, hang on a minute, we're in for some trouble here.
Yeah, for sure. As you were mentioning earlier, King of Osmane has really been showing up in recent tournaments. I know in the EPL, he was one of the best performing, and at times I think he was the best performing player in the whole tournament. At one specific time, he was, at least when I checked. Just really, really good play out from him. Hazza, of course, you guys know him. He's a very, very good player. Tit and Kynesie, very good, but Hazza and Osmane just really, really showing up here. Well done from them. This was, I was really excited for this match, and we saw some really good gameplay out, so I'm not as disappointed as some people might be, but 3-0 Hazza Osmane. For anyone curious about the rest of the tournament, there is a match tomorrow at 18 GMT. Let me confirm anything else. A match at 18 GMT. There's also a match at around 13 GMT on Monday. And then the last one, I'm not entirely sure has been scheduled yet. Kynesie+Tit+Timojin versus Prince of Kabul and Samwise is Sunday at 18 GMT. And then Prince of Carthage and Japan Blamer versus Sir Musket and Patrick is Monday at 13 GMT. So all of those matches should be really close. Samwise, Prince of Kabul, very, very good players. Kynesie+Tit+Timojin are definitely, in the running for winning the whole tournament. So we'll see what happens. But go ahead and tune in for that. Also, I mentioned this earlier, but if you guys want to watch any of the games, if you miss it live, you can join my YouTube on the there's a link for that in the About section. You can join that. If you want to subscribe, you'll see every new video that comes out, and I'm uploading every single video, every single match in this tournament.